By request of one of my subscribers, today's video will be about editing in DaVinci Resolve for beginners. DaVinci Resolve is one of the most powerful color grading tools out there. And to take most advantage of that, you want to be able to film in RAW, which most drones cannot do. But if not, if you could film in log like this guy, that would be the next best thing. Decent-alike, like the Air 2, not the S, would be the next best thing. Well, if you don't have any decent-alike or log, then you film in just standard color profile. We're gonna catch some footage with the Mini 2 and then with the Air 2S. We're not even gonna put a filter on this bad boy. We got a train incoming. Let's hit record. Now you can see my settings is nothing special, right? Look in the lower right-hand corners. Let me just catch this train first, and then we'll talk more about settings. Now my settings for this is going to be absolutely basic. I'm literally in auto, and your EV, if you put it to +3, your image might be too bright. If you put it to -3, your image might be too dark. Generally, I like to film at -3 because I like to brighten up my image a little bit more. 0 is kind of tinkly. If the drone is tuned right, straight out the box from the manufacturer, and DJI drones are usually tuned right out the box, then 0 is fine. But if you want to play it safe, it's better to go -3 instead of going +3. There you go. I've got no filter on, nothing. The drone's in auto. I'm filming 4K 30. You can film 4K 60, 24, whatever you like. This doesn't do 4K 60, by the way. It only goes up to 30. You want to shoot in 4K because 2.7K is a lower resolution, will give you less quality of an image. And why you bother color grading at 2.7K if you're looking for the best image? You will get the best image from filming in the best resolution. That's the other thing. You want your image to be consistent. So don't go dark on some and light on some. If you start at a specific location at 0, try to keep all at 0. If you start at a specific location -3, try to keep all at -3. Now, usually I do -3, like I told you before, but because I already started filming in 0, I'll just keep the whole thing in 0, just to show you it's like not the end of the world or anything. I'm in cine mode, so I'm looking for the absolute most smoothest image out there. You're up there, you just grab some shots. Now that's the other thing I want to talk about. You just don't go up there and hit record and have the record button, have to be recording 24 hours, 7 days a week, because when you sit down to edit, you're gonna have to go through all of that footage. As you can see, I didn't even hit record till the train passed. I shot the train, then I stopped hitting record. You'll see when we go into DaVinci that the actual time that you want to be shooting for is approximately 1.5 to 3 seconds. Each shot is about 1.5 to 3 seconds before you move on to the next shot, because nobody's going to sit there and watch 10 seconds of something unless it's something really intense that you're filming. So just bear that in mind. So when I'm shooting, I like to do 10-second shots. I film for 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, and that I know will get cut into a 1.5 to 3 second shot at the most. Bear that in mind. You have to change your habits in terms of how you shoot if you want your footage to look good. And you can't be shooting and doing stuff like this while you're moving. Generally, this does not look good. Like, this is not a reveal shot, right? So you've got to work on your shots. I did a whole video with the Mavic Mini. It's the same basic procedure with any drone. I'll leave the link up here so you could go check it, where I did 4 or 5 cool reveal shots. This is a nice shot. Look at that. The train's coming. I'm going to tuck down a little bit so I get the top of the sky. I'm not going to go sideways. I'm going to go front and side so I get a little bit of a different shot. I'm not just moving sideways. I'm moving front and side. See that? That alone is a shot. My exposure is 0. No filters, no nothing. Nothing crazy. I've got the city in the background. Beautiful shot. Let's hit that go. There we go. Taking that shot. Boom. Boom, there's another train passing. That's even beautiful. Now I can rise up. Look at this. Rise up while I'm taking the shot to do like a whoa, rise up too, right? So you could add little things to the shot to make it a little more intriguing or interesting. That's it. That's the shot. That was more than 10 seconds. All right, of course I'm in cine mode because I want it to be smooth, right? You don't have to be in cine mode, but if you're starting out, cine mode is great. So a lot of people think DaVinci Resolve and color grading is gonna make your footage, yes, it's gonna make your footage look better, but you've gotta film good footage and you've gotta get the right settings before you even think about DaVinci. See, my white balance is in auto. I don't have it in manual. I've got nothing set up fancy, just basic. Everything auto, zero, straight out of camera. What I really love about this drone is that you can get some really nice close-up shots, like really nice close-up shots, because it's so small, it's so light, and in terms of risk, it's probably the best option out there. Now, it's Air 2S time. First and foremost, you want to put on an ND filter, and choosing the right ND filter is important. You can also do this for your Mini 2 if you want to step it up a notch, right? So yeah, this doesn't only apply to the Air 2S. And now this looks like a DJI case, but it's not. Inside of here, I've got the Kalari filters, and these things are fire. I made a video about it. Check the link up here, why these filters are so good. Based on the sun today, I'm going with a 6-stop ND. Yeah, 6-stop is pretty strong. Now, I can't tell you what to use because it all depends on what you're filming, but I will tell you what to look for when you get up there. That will indicate that you have the right filter on and why the right filter is important. However, that filter must be cleaned. Your camera lens as well, the glass that's on your camera, before popping the filter on. I always take one last clean after because yeah, it's all about the footage, and these little things affect your footage. I'm also rocking the RC Pro, so big shout out to RC Pro owners out there. Let's get this bad boy up in the air. Up and away. Serious about this game, 5.4K is the way to go. A lot of drones don't even have 5.4K. There's only a few of them that can go up to this resolution. So whether you shoot in 24, 25, or 30, that's up to you. I'm gonna do 30, and what that means is I'm gonna switch my camera to Pro. I'm gonna set it to 5.4K, as you can see here, 30 FPS. My white balance, I do not put my white balance in auto. I leave my white balance in manual, and I start at 5600. That is my starting point for my white balance. It's just you want to have some consistency when you're editing, so when you bring your footage in, you're used to a specific starting point. For me, 5600 is as natural as it gets, so I like to start around there unless I'm filming in the night, and that's another story. You can also do this with your Mini 2 if that's all you have and you want to step your game up. You can do this as well. Don't think that this is only limited to the Air 2S. All right, we're gonna go in D-Log, which is something you can't do with the Mini 2. But you can do, bye-bye another train, but you can do with the Air 2S. So I am in D-Log, and D-Log means that you have flat. If you look at the screen, you'll see that the color is very flat. It's going to be an H.265 codec. That just means the code that it's using to record the files. I prefer H.264, but when you're filming 5.4K, well, that's the only codec that's available to you. Yes, it'll put a little bit of pressure on your computer, but like I said before, as long as you have the right computer, don't worry about it. If you're unsure about your computer, you can start in 4K, but don't expect the best results. Good, so I'm going back to 5.4K. A lot of times too, it's worth thinking about right now is purchasing a good computer rather than purchasing a good drone. A lot of people chase the drone, but they don't chase the computer. The computer is equally as important as the drone if you want to be good at this stuff. computer is also fun, especially the new Macs. So I highly recommend you look into those. I'll also leave links to all my gear, like my laptops and my computers and my cameras and drones and everything else in the description section below. So go check it out if you're not sure what to buy. MP4 MOV is just optional, so you can choose anyone. Same thing with the Mini 2. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I don't really care. I'm just used to filming in MP4, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Come over here to this other shutter menu over here, and this is where things get interesting. Now, I'm filming at the top here, 4K 30, so my shutter has got to be 1/60. 30 times 2 is 60. Always remember that. Double your frame rate should be your shutter speed. It's as simple as that. Why is this stuff important? I don't want to get into all of that today. I made a video about it. Check it over here, how filters work, why you have to double your frame rate. Basically, it gives you a nice, smooth Hollywood look, or what's called motion blur, and our eyes are used to that. So when we see footage that looks that way, it looks natural. Now, why didn't I do it with the Mini 2? Because I kept most of the shots high in the air, and when your shots are high in the air, motion blur really doesn't matter that most, at least not for beginners. And most people will not notice that there is no motion blur, but when you start flying low, when you start filming people, cars and stuff moving, then you notice the motion blur. So it's good to develop good habits right now as you're learning to color grade and everything, so that when you go out in the field, or that when you get jobs, you're already in the habit of doing these things and it comes naturally, and all you have to focus on is the job, instead of focusing on, I need to do this, I need to learn this, I need to be prepared, I need to do, is my frame rate right? No. These things should become a habit embedded in you, flying as much as you can, so when you do get the actual jobs, you don't have to worry about these things. Good. There's a pro tip for you right there. See how the clouds are out nice and puffy over there? I know it's not looking nice and super cinematic yet. I can see it looking cinematic because I have the experience. But you're probably thinking, oh, my screen is just looking flat. Look at what I'm doing. I'm pulling away and I'm pushing up. So I'm pulling back and up. So I'm kind of elevating as I'm backing up, right? Boom. That's a shot right there. Right? Hit record. Now you can go forward and go down. That is also a shot, right? And you could run this shot in reverse, going forward and reverse, which we'll talk about in other classes with DaVinci Resolve. Same thing here. Stop record. That was 14 seconds. Start again and start elevating or twist, right? Do nice little slow motion, so you come like wrap out of Queens and then you start showing Manhattan. Boom. There in the background. Now, obviously, you should check your surroundings first. I fly here a lot, so I know the surroundings. But yeah, boom. Look at that shot. Look at that shot. Boom. You don't want, again, anything more than 10 seconds. Learn to do little orbit maneuvers and stuff. I have a video here on manual orbiting, right? It's great for scenarios like this, especially now since I've got the clouds nice and puffy in the background. Another thing I want to mention is, if you feel more comfortable going into turning on color assist, then do it. If you have a hard time seeing or visualizing, it doesn't mean that your image is going to look like this. It's still going to look flat coming out of the camera. And when it's edited, doesn't mean it's going to look like this. It can look much better than this, right? Depending on what you do to it, which is the next portion of the video, which is the computer section, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I can hit record and the footage still will come out flat. So use the color assist if you have to. It's just my preference and I don't really like it. And I kind of prefer looking forward to the colors when I color grade as opposed to when I'm filming right now. Final trick I want to show you is, if you're moving a lot like I'm doing and you're worried about the sun moving, or image going from dark to light image, put your ISO in auto. Now when you're filming in D-Log, it doesn't allow you to run ISO, your auto ISO. But how was I able to do it? Very simple. Go into normal mode if you want, come over to here and turn on auto ISO, and then come back over to the settings over here and then switch over to D-Log. What that's going to do is allow your ISO to stay in auto while you're in D-Log. Once you've enabled auto ISO in D-Log, then you don't have to worry so much about making fine-tuned changes, because, well, I'm out of battery. Yeah, I'm out of batteries, so I had to make a emergency landing, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. Remember to double your frame rate to your shutter speed. So if you're filming 4K 24, go to 1/50 shutter. If you're filming 4K 30 or 5K 30, double your frame rate. So that would be 1/60, right? Pop a filter on if you want better image. Go into D-Log, and remember your ISO can be in auto. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Last tip is to remember to get some cinematic shots, or I should say cinematic movements, because that's just as important as your color grading. All right, with that being said, let's take these two drones and jump over to the computer. Great, we're at the computer. If you've made it this far, then you're probably serious about learning color grading, because you're probably thinking about getting a job, getting a 107, making some extra money on the side, or you just want your footage to stand out from everybody else's. You just want to be good. You're ready to put in the time. You're ready to do what it takes. Let me know in the comment section below why these types of videos are interest to you, because they don't get a lot of views. And if I want to continue making these videos, you have to let me know that these videos are important to you. With that being said, this video is already 14 minutes in and I haven't started editing. And this is what I want you to understand, that a lot of it is in the preparation, your settings. So those settings that I went through earlier, if you can, go out as much as you can, fly and use those settings. If you're using the Mini 2, auto is pretty simple, so you probably have a lot of footage. But if you only have a Mini 2 and that's your best drone, then try to implement as much settings that I did with the Air 2S with your Mini 2. If you have an Air 2S, well then yeah, definitely jump up to D-Log. Try to use those sticks to get something cinematic. Look at the cinematic videos that I recommended for you, and then come back for next week's video where I'll be editing that footage for you to see. I just don't want the video to be too long, and I'd rather it be in nitbits where you can gather some information, put it into practice, and then come back here to edit, where I'll show you how to import, how to cut, how to use transitions, how to touch up colors, how to apply LUTs, 4 or 5 basic simple things, how to add music, fade, little things that you can do with DaVinci Resolve. In the meanwhile, DaVinci Resolve is free. Go right ahead, download it, have it ready on your computer. Try, maybe go out, if you have an Air 2S, shoot some 5.4K, D-Log, bring it in DaVinci Resolve, and just try to play it in the timeline here. Just bring it down in the timeline, see if your computer plays it. If it doesn't work, maybe you'll have to downgrade to 4K. 2.7 is not really something I would color grade at all, but you can still practice, because I'm a firm believer that you work with what you have until you can afford more. And I hope that when you sit down to watch my video next week, you will have your footage ready, and as you get the tips, you'll be trying it out. Because let me tell you something, guys, you're not gonna get better unless you practice. You have to practice. Practice makes perfect. You can sit down and watch a million videos, unless you religiously take that advice and you implement it verbatim or as close as possible. You are not going to get better. You are not going to see improvements. You're just going to be doing the same thing over and over and over. And it doesn't matter how much you spend on a drone, whether it's $600 or $6,000, it's not going to make much of a difference to you. You need to learn those stick movements, and you need to learn how to use these programs. So this is 2022. This is my goal, to really put out videos that will help you guys go to the next level. All right, that wraps this video up, guys. Make sure you give me a big, huge thumbs up. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell to get notified when I release the color grading tutorial on DaVinci Resolve next week. I will catch you guys whenever I can. Make sure you become a Patreon, guys. Big benefits to Patreon. Get direct access to me. Any questions? I'm right here on Patreon. Support this channel, and there's benefits. Last Mini 2 went all the way to the UK.